Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion. And today I want to talk to you guys about something that Boruto Chapter 75 opened up the door for, which is the fact that since we now have an Otsutsuki God who's not only been named, but the body has also been confirmed to have been left behind, we now have to discuss something that might very well end up changing Boruto's time skip in ways that none of us could have ever imagined. Up until this point, we've all wondered what was it that would cause Kawaki, a boy who loved Naruto so much that he'd do anything to protect him, even reawaken the Karma Seal, a power that Kawaki absolutely hates more than anything else in the world, all in order to protect Naruto. The same with why Boruto looks like he was so destroyed when he told Kawaki that this looked like it might have been the only possible outcome, which we now know is an indication that Boruto has begun to start using Momoshiki's power in order to see into the future, meaning that at least he saw the destruction of Konoha and potentially even his battle with Kawaki. However, how exactly did the announcement of Shibai Otsutsuki change all of that, you might be asking? Well, it goes back to Code as a character who we all can agree is someone who's been a bit of a mixed bag since he's been stepped into the spotlight and has continuously been stripped down in order to build his character back up. However, one thing of note here is the fact that Code is a character who we've seen is someone who has mostly been anchored to another character, needing them to find his purpose and to push his character forward. Relationships are a strong part of Code's character arc. We saw it with Jigen, where there were many who had called that a father-son relationship, even with Delta, where she used that information of that relationship to poke fun at the fact that Jigen, for as much as he gave Code preferential treatment, he still gave Kawaki top blessing because Kawaki was the one who had the true Karma Seal that could be used for Ishiki's purposes. With Kawaki, his hatred for Kawaki stemmed from the fact that the jealousy of Kawaki was essentially that Kawaki was accepted by Ishiki's Karma Seal. Code, for reasons we do not know as of this recording, Code worships the Otsutsuki and admired Jigen for being the vessel of the Otsutsuki clan. The jealousy of Kawaki likely went a long way towards him trying to find ways to win favor with Jigen and by extension Ishiki, who with his last dying words will call Code his most loyal servant. With Ishiki, he was the god who Code worshipped and put before anything else. Ishiki, even in death, still remains the largest driving factor behind Code's actions. He's like a religious zealot, driven to act in a mad way that at times it defies logic, but also to an extent it feels as if he's been called upon in order to serve the god who he worships, since Ishiki personally gave him a mission in order to get revenge for him, to consume multiple chakra fruits, to become an Otsutsuki God, to carry out the will of the Otsutsuki and make sure it doesn't die with Ishiki. For all intents and purposes, Code right now is waging a holy war against Naruto, the father of Talk no Jutsu. With Ada, she's a character who held Code's heart and helped push the danger level of Code as a character and as a villain, since with her intel gathering ability, she allowed Code to see the perfect opportunity to try and snag Kawaki. However, each of these things, they've been stripped away from Code. Jigen was killed by Kashin Koji. Ishiki was pushed to the limit by Baryon Naruto and ultimately killed by Kawaki. Ada decided to sick Damon onto Code, and instead of Code being between Ada's legs, it was Kawaki who rests his head between her legs, the place where Code covets more than giving up his own body to Ishiki in ways that Kawaki refuses to do. He's got no one to turn that devotion to, which is still strong enough to the point where he told Boruto he hated the idea of having to feed him to the Ten-Tails, since Boruto is technically Otsutsuki, and when he confronted Momoshiki, there were times where Code came across as being in awe of Momoshiki's power and being in the presence of a true Otsutsuki. However, that's where we insert Shibai Otsutsuki. We have a human who worships the Otsutsuki and is currently has no Otsutsuki to turn his devotion towards. We have the body of an Otsutsuki who's ascended to a higher plane, another dimension where he doesn't even need a body, hence the Samurai 8 connections that I've been making, where one is above terms such as life and death and needing a body yet still existing, which means they're not actually dead. The idea that Code won't learn of Shibai if he doesn't already know about him, which is unconfirmed. I think we can pencil in the fact that Code is going to be connected to Shibai Otsutsuki in some way, shape, form, or fashion. In fact, narratively, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. How many of us have asked the question of how can Code, a human, consume the chakra fruit? Orochimaru in the car actuation arc of the anime made a very subtle but very clear-cut observation, which is that humans cannot and should not bother to do with anything with the chakra fruit or with the god tree itself because it is too dangerous and beyond human comprehension. Orochimaru, someone who we know based off of the anime, the manga, and the novels, has spent a considerable amount of time investigating all things Otsutsuki clan related, is a very reliable source and a very valuable source and a credible source of information when it comes to things about the Otsutsuki clan. If Orochimaru is raising warning signs about the chakra fruit, unless Code has something special about him that we don't know just yet, Code eating a chakra fruit is going to have some unforeseen consequence, especially the Earth's chakra fruit, which has been stated more than once to be more potent than all the other planets that are out there in the chakra fruits that they can produce. That's where Shibai actually comes into play. Would any of us doubt if Code switches from wanting the chakra fruit for himself to wanting to offer the chakra fruit to, say, Shibai Otsutsuki himself? I don't think we can say that's too crazy, assuming Code does learn of his existence. He isn't dead, merely transcended to another dimension, which means pulling an Obito and connecting to the remnants of the chakra left behind in the body. It isn't out of the question here, and it makes you wonder, are Boruto and Kawaki fighting in the future because they have a disagreement on how to handle the threat of Shibai, or potentially clashing after something has happened? Perhaps Code attacking the village at some point and Kawaki being pig-headed enough to think that he can handle the situation by himself, or that he should even handle it by himself without anybody's help. It's something that we've seen with the character Kawaki before, where he discards the idea of teamwork. Would we really be shocked to see a scenario where Code, through some type of a prayer, is able to communicate with Shibai and potentially offer up his body to Shibai? It's part of his character when you think about it. He wants to be of use to the Otsutsuki. He wants to give up his body to the Otsutsuki clan. He'd be a vessel in a heartbeat if he was able to do so. He was unable to do the thing that he desires via karma because his body rejected the karma seal, and we just now happen to have a character who no longer needs a karma. He's transcended beyond needing karma at all. Offering up his body to be the physical host for Shibai would be very in character for Code, especially since Shibai doesn't need karma, and for Code it fits his desires. Could Ishiki have actually planned for something like this to happen? I.e., he told him eat the chakra fruit and become an Otsutsuki God, knowing full well that there was actually a god already out there. At the time, I thought it was Ishiki planning to pull a Kaguya and use Code as a pawn for revival, the same way that she and Zetsu used Madara to have Madara prepare his body to become potent enough in order to sustain her return by becoming the Ten Tails Jinchuriki and then consuming the divine tree, giving him the power boost and the life force needed to sustain Kaguya when she revived using Madara's body. I thought Ishiki telling him to eat the chakra fruit was a way for, say, Ishiki to do something like that, but Ishiki's words about not allowing the Otsutsuki's will to die out, maybe that was meant, or maybe that was a connection to Shibai. Maybe that was foreshadowing. It is something that we should consider. Right now, it's still too early to tell, but I do think with Shibai and Code, there's something there for the future. And I do think it changes how we need to look at the Boruto time skip moving forward. That being said, I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts about this. Is Code more likely to offer up Shibai his body, or is he more likely to discover Shibai and replace his obsession with Ishiki for the literal god of the Otsutsuki clan? While you think that over, click here for the 300,000 subscriber Q&A, or click here to watch this KRYPTONIAN Saiyan video.